The 10 Sentimo coin of 1984 belongs to the Flora and Fauna series, which was introduced by the Banco Central ng Pilipinas in 1983 and remained in circulation until the early 1990s. This series was significant because it represented not only a monetary adjustment in Philippine coinage but also a cultural and environmental emphasis, highlighting the rich biodiversity of the country alongside its heroes. The coin features the profile of Francisco Baltazar, Balagtas, the Prince of Tagalog poets and author of the famous literary masterpiece Flora and Fauna. His inclusion symbolizes the value of literature, national identity, and cultural heritage in Philippine society. The inscription reads Republica ng Pilipinas, Republic of the Philippines, and the year 1984. The reverse displays an image of a Philippine plant species, as part of the Flora and Fauna series. On the 10 Sentimo, this was the wailing orchid Vanda Sanderiana, considered the queen of Philippine flowers. This design reflects the government's effort to promote awareness of the nation's natural wealth and biodiversity. At a time when environmental consciousness was slowly rising, this size and weight were chosen deliberately during the 1980s coinage reform, as inflation required lighter, more cost-efficient coins. 1984. The Philippines was under the rule of President Ferdinand Marcos, who declared martial law in 1972 and lifted it in 1981. Though his influence remained strong, the economy was struggling due to rising debt, corruption, and political instability. During this time, the government made adjustments in its currency system to cope with inflation, and new coins were introduced. The 1984 10 Sentimo was a very low-value coin, practically equivalent to less than 1 US cent. Despite this, its issuance served important purposes. It facilitated exact payments in jeepneys, buses, markets, and small neighborhood stores. Sari stores. Inflation management. Even though inflation was eroding purchasing power, the BSP kept small denomination coins in circulation to stabilize the monetary system. Cultural pride. By placing Baltasar and the wailing orchid on the coin, the series reinforced national identity and respect for both heritage and nature. Children often encountered this coin when receiving change from buying inexpensive treats in the 1980s and early 1990s. The early 1990s, the 10 Sentimo coin of the Flora and Fauna series gradually lost its usefulness. Inflation had rendered it nearly obsolete, and by the 1995 BSP coin series the design was changed, and earlier versions were demonetized. 1984 10 Sentimo coin was part of a bold shift in Philippine coinage. Before 1983, Philippine coins primarily featured political heroes and national leaders. However, the introduction of the Flora and Fauna series, 1983 to 1994, represented a unique fusion of Filipino identity with natural heritage. This series highlighted not just people but also the Philippines' rich biodiversity. The 10 Sentimo coin carried Francisco Baltazar on the obverse and the wailing orchid on the reverse, blending culture and nature on a single coin. Francisco Baltazar, 1788 to 1862, better known as Balagtas, was one of the greatest literary icons of the Philippines. His epic poem Flora and Fauna became a cornerstone of Tagalog literature, blending Western literary influence with Filipino experiences. By featuring him on the 10 Sentimo, the government celebrated the power of the Filipino language and literature, strengthening national identity. During a period of political turmoil under the Marcos regime, the reverse, the wailing Vanda Sanderiana orchid was chosen. Known as the Queen of Philippine orchids, it is native to Mindanao and is considered a rare and sacred flower by the Bagobo people. Its inclusion was part of an educational initiative by the Banco Central ng Pilipinas BSP to promote pride in native flora and fauna. By putting this orchid on the coin, the Philippines was also showcasing its ecological richness to the world. The 1980s was a difficult decade for the Philippines. The economy faced skyrocketing debt, inflation, and political unrest. The 10 Sentimo coin in 1984 was worth far less than earlier decades, but it still circulated widely. At this time, jeepney fares, candies, and small goods often required exact change, making small coins like the 10 Sentimo still necessary for everyday transactions. Even though the 10 Sentimo coin was tiny and often overlooked, it was deeply tied to daily life. Children received it as change from sari stores, bus conductors used it for fares, and households often saved jars of 5 and 10 centimo coins for budgeting. The coin thus carried not only economic value but also emotional memory for Filipinos growing up in the 1980s, and early 1990s. Inflation further eroded the purchasing power of the 10 centimo. Its practical use diminished by then. Most goods were rounded off to 25 centimo or higher. By 1995, when the BSP released a new coin series, the older 10 centimo from the Flora and Fauna series had lost relevance and was gradually withdrawn. Historical value represents the Marcos era. Economy and cultural promotion pays tribute to Baltazar. And the wailing, numismatic value, while not rare, pristine uncirculated examples are valued by collectors, especially when part of a complete Flora and Fauna set. For most collectors today, its worth is modest in pesos but its symbolic value is high. It is seen as a memory coin of the 1980s, a period of political. Piso coin belongs to the series known as the Flora and Fauna series, which was issued by the Banco Central ng Philippine as BSP between 1983 and 1994, but some coins of this design continued to circulate until 2003 before being replaced by the new BSP series, even though the 1997 issue was already within the years when the new BSP series introduced in 1995 had begun circulating. Coins bearing earlier designs were still minted for a short period and heavily circulated across the country. This makes the 1997 coin an interesting transitional piece in Philippine numismatic history. The obverse side of the 1997 1 Piso coin features the national hero Jose Rizal, the most prominent figure in Philippine history. Rizal was a writer, reformist, and martyr whose works and ideas inspired the Philippine Revolution against Spain. His bust is positioned prominently in the center, accompanied by the inscriptions Republica ng Pilipinas and the year of minting, 1997. The presence of Rizal on this coin highlights the national emphasis on patriotism, education, and reformist ideals during the late 20th century. On the reverse side, the coin carries the seal of the Banco Central ng Pilipinas BSP. The BSP was newly established in 1993 to replace the old Central Bank of the Philippines, following economic reforms and restructuring efforts. After decades of political and financial instability, the BSP seal includes 3 stars and a stylized sun echoing the design elements of the Philippine flag, symbolizing sovereignty, independence, and economic renewal. This imagery was important in the 1990s as the Philippines was trying to strengthen its economy after the turbulent years of the late Marcos era and the early years of democracy under President Corazon Aquino. The material composition of the coin was a copper-nickel clad steel, giving it durability and a silver-white appearance. It had a diameter of 24 millimeters and weighed 6 grams, making it a practical coin for daily transactions. At that time, the value of 1 piso was still significant, commonly used for jeepney fares, candy, snacks, and small everyday purchases. Unlike today, where the piso has diminished in purchasing power, in 1997, it was still considered a useful and respected unit of currency. Historically, 1997 was a critical year in Asia because of the Asian financial crisis, which deeply affected the Philippine economy. The peso experienced sharp devaluation, dropping from around 26 pesos per US dollar to nearly 40 pesos per dollar within a short time. This financial turmoil gave the 1997 piso coin even greater historical weight as it circulated during a period of economic hardship, uncertainty, and recovery efforts. For many Filipinos, coins like the 1997 piso became a daily reminder of resilience in the face of inflation and financial instability. Numismatically, the 1997 1 piso coin is a transition-era coin, bridging to important currency series. 72. By 1984, the Marcos administration was heavily emphasizing reforms and nationalism, and coinage became one of the tools to reflect this vision. The coin's obverse features Andres Bonifacio, the revolutionary leader who organized the Katipunan. While Jose Rizal is often celebrated as the intellectual hero, Bonifacio represents the fighter, the man of action, and the working-class voice of revolution. Putting Bonifacio on one of the highest value coins of the series was no accident. It symbolized courage, unity, and the people's power values Marcos wanted his regime associated with. Even if ironically, the Philippines was under authoritarian rule at the uniqueness of the piso, the 19842 piso was one of the largest and heaviest circulation coins ever minted in the Philippines. At 38 millimeters and about 17 grams it felt almost like a commemorative medal. This was intentional. It made the coin feel valuable, durable, and symbolic of stability at a time when the peso was actually losing value. The reverse carried the coat of arms of the Republic of the Philippines as it appeared under Marcos. It included the inscription Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Its placement was political. It projected the authority of the state, reinforcing the image that the government remained strong despite widespread protests and international criticism. The timing of the coin circulation is crucial. The early 1980s brought severe economic hardship. The Philippines was facing one of the worst debt crises in Asia. 1983, the assassination of Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. shocked the world, deepened political unrest, and triggered capital flight. Inflation soared, unemployment rose and the peso weakened. High denomination coin. The 2 peso of 1984 entered circulation in an economy where its purchasing power was already diminishing. Many Filipinos remember the 2 peso coin of 1984 for its size and weight. It wasn't convenient for daily use, often bulging in wallets or pockets. Still, it was distinct and memorable. Children would sometimes keep it as a token or lucky charm, while adults often used it for larger purchases. 2 peso circulated in a politically charged period. From 1984 to 1986, the Philippines moved closer to a turning point. Protest movements gained momentum, international pressure mounted, and the legitimacy of the Marcos regime weakened. This coin thus stands as a silent witness to history, changing hands during demonstrations, family struggles, and the everyday lives of Filipinos. When the people power revolution of 1986 toppled Marcos and brought Corazon Aquino to power, the nation shifted to a new era of democracy. Along with political change came changes in coinage. By the late 19th coin system, it holds not only a monetary function but also carries historical, cultural, and national symbolism that reflects the Philippines' rich past and evolving identity. 5 peso coin of this year still belonged to the new BSP coin series, which had been in circulation since 1995. This series was designed to replace older coins and to feature modern anti-counterfeiting elements while continuing to highlight the country's heroes and heritage. On the obverse side, the 201 for 5 peso coin features the portrait of Emilio Aguinaldo, 1869 to 1960, for the country's first president and a revolutionary leader who played a central role in the Philippine fight for independence from Spanish rule. His appearance on the coin underscores his importance in national history. Aguinaldo is best remembered for declaring Philippine independence on June 12, 1898, in Kawit, Cavite, a historic event that continues to be celebrated as Independence Day. His inclusion on the coin immortalizes his legacy and allows everyday citizens to carry a piece of history in their pockets. The reverse side of the coin bears the official seal of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas BSP, symbolizing stability, economic governance, and monetary policy. The seal represents the institution's role in maintaining the strength of the Philippine peso, controlling inflation, and ensuring trust in the financial system. The metal composition of the 2014 5 peso coin is nickel-plated steel, chosen for durability and cost efficiency. This change from earlier bronze or brass compositions reflects the country's adaptation to global economic trends in coin production, where cheaper but strong metals are preferred. The 5 peso denomination itself has gone through significant transformations over the years. Earlier issues of the 5 peso were much larger, with the 1975 Flora and Fauna series featuring plants and animals. Later, the Ang Bagong Lipunan ABL series in the 1970s to 1980s carried the new society's political symbols. By the mid-1990s, however, the BSP standardized coin sizes and designs, giving the 5 peso a more modern appearance and aligning it with the rest of the coin family. The 2014 coin, while part of a widely circulating series, gained importance as it was among the last issues before the Philippines introduced a completely redesigned new generation currency NGC coin series in 2018. In the new series, Emilio Aguinaldo's portrait was replaced by other national themes, meaning the 2014 version represents the final years of his presence on Philippine coinage. From a collector's perspective, the 2014 5 peso coin is common in Central Bank of the Philippines was modernizing the nation's currency system to reflect national pride, historical heroes, and modernization. The 1 Piso coin of 1974 was part of the Ang Bagong Lipunan ABL series, which was introduced starting in 1975, but some coins, bearing earlier years like 1974, were struck as part of the transitional phase. This series symbolized Marcos' vision of a new society during martial law. Features the portrait of Jose Rizal, the Philippine national hero, whose writings and martyrdom played a key role in the country's independence movement against Spain. The inscription around the portrait reads, Republica ng Pilipinas, Republic of the Philippines. The denomination 1 Piso is placed prominently. The year 1974 is struck below. Displays the coat of arms of the Philippines, symbolizing sovereignty and independence, inscribed with Central Bank of the Philippines in Filipino, along with the national motto, Isang Bansa Isang Diwa, One Nation One Spirit. Composition and specifications: metal, copper, nickel, weight around 14 grams, diameter 38 millimeters, large crowd-sized coin, quite hefty compared to modern pesos. This large-sized piso was meant to emphasize the importance of the currency during the 1970s, circulation and significance. The 1 Piso 1974 was heavily used in circulation, especially for larger purchases. Because of its size and weight, it was not always convenient for daily use, which eventually led to the downsizing of piso coins in later years. The coin also marked a strong political statement under Marcos, as currency redesign was tied to the new society program. Common circulation strikes of the 1970 for 1 Piso are not rare and are usually worth only their face value or a small premium to collectors. However, uncirculated mint state examples, especially proof-like strikes, can fetch higher value. Coins with historical context, like those preserved during martial law, or with unique minting errors, are more desirable among collectors. In short, the 1970 for 1 Piso coin is not just money, but also a historical artifact representing the Philippines during a politically charged era. It features Jose Rizal as the enduring symbol of nationalism, while also embodying the Marcos government's push for the Ang Bagong Lipunan program. 1970 for the Philippines was under martial law declared by Ferdinand Marcos in 1972. This era was known for strict government control, but also for ambitious infrastructure projects, economic reforms, and the reshaping of national identity under the slogan Ang Bagong Lipunan, the new society. Currency redesign was one of the ways the Marcos government showcased this new order, by issuing coins that carried national heroes, patriotic slogans, and modern designs. The government reinforced the image of strength and unity. The obverse of the 1974 1 Piso features Jose Rizal, the most celebrated national hero of the Philippines. Rizal's writings, particularly Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, inspired Filipinos to resist colonial oppression, placing Rizal on the largest circulating coin of that time, emphasized his symbol of unity, sacrifice, and intellect. This decision tied the nation's currency to its heritage and national pride. The 1974 1 Piso was a large coin measuring 38 millimeters across and weighing about 14 grams. It was one of the biggest modern coins in Philippine circulation. Because of its size, many people compared it to the older Spanish Philippine silver pesos of the 1800s, which were also big and heavy. For older Filipinos, this may have felt like a nostalgic link to the past. However, its bulkiness made it inconvenient for daily use, and over time, the design was adjusted into smaller, lighter coins. The reverse of the 1974 1 Piso bore the coat of arms of the Philippines, which included symbols of both colonial past and independence. The 3 stars and the sun represented Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The American bald eagle and the lion of Spain represented the Philippines' former colonial rulers. The shield represented the defense of freedom and sovereignty. This design reminded Filipinos of their history but also declared independence. As a modern republic, printed on the coin was the motto, Isang Bansa Isang Diwa, One Nation One Spirit. This was directly tied to Marcos' martial law propaganda, promoting national discipline, unity, and loyalty to his vision of the new society. While some Filipinos genuinely embraced this call for unity, others saw it as a political tool to maintain authoritarian control. Today, coins from this era serve as historical reminders of both nationalism and dictatorship. In the 1970s, the Philippine economy was changing. The peso was pegged around Philippine peso 6 to $1 USD, giving the 1 Piso coin considerable purchasing power compared to today. Inflation was starting to rise, but the Piso still bought essential goods like rice, bread, or public transportation fares. Having such a large coin for Philippine peso made sense economically at the time, but later inflation reduced its practicality. The 197 for 1 Piso was minted in large quantities by the Central Bank of the Philippines, which had taken over full control of coinage after independence. It circulated early 1900s, though back then they were made of copper nickel and carried designs of liberty and the Filipino laborer. By the time the Philippines gained full independence in 1946, the 25 Sentimo was already an established small denomination in the national currency. The Philippine peso underwent several design changes in the mid to late 20th century. In the 1960s, coins were still quite large and often made from more valuable metals, but inflation and practical usage gradually pushed designs toward smaller, lighter coins. The 25 Sentimo became a staple for everyday transactions, especially in public markets and transport fares. 1995, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas (BSP) launched the BSP coin series, which included a brass-colored 25 Sentimo featuring Juan Luna, the famous Filipino painter and revolutionary. This series became the backbone of Philippine coinage for nearly 2 decades. But by the early 2010s, the coins had begun to lose their luster and were prone to discoloration, making them harder to recognize. In the early 2010s, the BSP began research into a new generation currency and GC coin series. The goals were the 2015 25 Sentimo introduced a stylized Philippine flag set on the obverse, replacing historical portraits. The year of minting appears below, with the denomination boldly stated. This design choice reflects modernism, but still ties to the 1896 Philippine Revolution, whose spirit is embodied in the 8 rays of the sun. The reverse design places the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas logo at the center, signifying the institution's role in safeguarding the economy. Surrounding it is the inscription, Republica ng Pilipinas, reaffirming national identity. Unlike the brass-bladed steel of older coins, the 2015 version uses nickel-plated steel. This change gives the coin a silver appearance, extends its lifespan, and makes it more resistant to tarnish from daily handling, important in a tropical climate like the Philippines. At 20 millimeters in diameter and weighing 2.5 grams, the 2015 25 Sentimo is light, yet distinct enough for tactile recognition. The smooth edge is a practical choice for small denominations, differentiating it from larger coins with reeded edges. 2015 inflation had reduced the coin's buying power, but it remained crucial for exact change in jeepneys, tricycles, buses, and sari-sari stores. For commuters and small vendors, the 25 Sentimo still helped round off transactions. When first introduced, the 2015 25 Sentimo and its NGC siblings drew mixed reactions. Some welcomed the clean, modern look, others missed the portraits of national heroes. Over time, however, the public adapted and the coin became part of everyday commerce. While it holds little numismatic premium today in circulated coins, the 25 Sentimo coin from the Philippines, minted in 2015, is a small yet fascinating piece of modern Filipino numismatic history. It belongs to the new generation currency coin series, a set of redesigned coins released by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas (BSP) to enhance security features, improve durability, and modernize the nation's currency. By the early 2010s, Philippine coins from the 1995 BSP coin series had been circulating for nearly 2 decades. Over time, many coins suffered from wear, counterfeiting attempts, and reduced public recognition due to tarnishing. In 2014, the BSP began introducing the NGC coin series in phases, and the 2015 25 Sentimo was part of the initial rollout. The front of the 2015 25 Sentimo coin prominently features the stylized Philippine flag's sun, an iconic national emblem with 8 rays representing the 8 provinces that first revolted against Spanish rule in 1896. Above it is the denomination, 25 Sentimo, in bold lettering, with the year 2015 at the bottom. Unlike earlier series that carried portraits of Filipino heroes, the NGC coins embraced a modern minimalist design, symbolizing a forward-looking nation while honoring traditional elements. On the reverse, the coin bears the text Republica ng Pilipinas encircling the upper rim, along with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas BSP logo at the center. The BSP logo reflects the country's monetary authority and its commitment to economic stability. The 2015 25 Sentimo is made of nickel-plated steel, giving it a silvery appearance and making it resistant to corrosion and upgrade from the brass-colored earlier versions. It is small and lightweight, with a diameter of 20 millimeters and a weight of 2.5 grams. Economic and circulation context. In 2015, the Philippine economy was experiencing steady growth with increasing demand for small denomination coins for public transport fares, small retail purchases, and traditional markets. However, inflation over the years meant that the 25 centimo had relatively low purchasing power, often used in combination with other coins, rather than for single transactions. While not highly valuable in terms of face value, the 2015 25 centimo holds a certain cultural charm. Many Filipinos recognize it for its simplicity, and coin collectors appreciate it as part of the first full, modernized coin series of the 21st century in the Philippines. Since it is still in circulation, most 2015 25 centimo coins hold only their face value unless they are uncirculated, in mint condition, or part of an NGC coin set. Over time, pristine specimens, especially first-year mintages, may gain modest collectible value. The 2015 25 centimo marks a transitional phase in Philippine coinage, bridging the gap between this series replaced the earlier Ang Bagong Lipunan ABL coin series, and it was part of a broader effort to modernize the nation's currency, improve durability, and honor both national heroes and the natural treasures of the Philippines. The late 1980s, the Philippine economy was emerging from a politically turbulent era. Inflation during the 1970s and 1980s had gradually reduced the purchasing power of the Piso, making coins of higher denominations more important in everyday transactions. The 1 Piso coin was especially vital because it was the backbone of daily, small transactions, jeepney fares, market purchases, and school snacks. The 1 Piso 1990 coin was copper nickel-plated steel, giving it a silvery color and durability for heavy circulation. Portrait of Jose Rizal, the national hero of the Philippines, writer, reformist, and inspiration for the Philippine Revolution against Spanish rule. Image of the Philippine coconut palm cocos. Nucifera, a crop deeply tied to the nation's agriculture and economy. Denomination 1 Piso. Prominently displayed. Jose Rizal, 1861 to 1896, symbolizes peaceful reform, education, and patriotism. Unlike revolutionaries who took up arms, Rizal fought with his pen, producing works like Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, which awakened national consciousness. His presence on the 1 Piso coin reflected the importance of moral leadership and intellect in shaping the nation. The coconut tree, nicknamed the Tree of Life in the Philippines, represents resilience, livelihood, and abundance. It's one of the country's top agricultural exports and a staple in rural life. By featuring it on the coin, the BSP acknowledged its role in sustaining millions of Filipino families. 1990. The Philippines was under the presidency of Corazon Aquino. The BSP was working to keep coin production steady amid inflation pressures. That year's 1 Piso coins were minted in large numbers to meet high circulation demand, as the peso's value meant that coins were essential for small-scale transactions. The 1990 1 Piso coin was everywhere, from sari-sari stores to bus fares. Its moderate size and clear markings made it easy to recognize. It remained in active use until the introduction of the new BSP coin series in 1995, which gave the 1 Piso a smaller, different design. Since millions were minted in 1990, most are common today in circulated condition. However, uncirculated coins with sharp details, mirror-like surfaces, or factory mint luster are valued more by collectors. Rare mint errors, such as off-center strikes or coins missing plating, can fetch higher prices. The 1 Piso 1990 coin is a nostalgic piece for many Filipinos who grew up in the late 80s and early 90s, though demonetized in January 2018 along with other old series coins. The Flora and Fauna series was launched in 1983 by the Central Bank of the Philippines, Banco Central ng Pilipinas, after 1993 rechartering asterisk. It replaced the Ang Bagong Lipunan series, 1975 to 1982, which was closely tied to the Marcos administration. The new series sought to move away from politically charged symbols and instead celebrate national heroes and the biodiversity of the Philippines. 1990. The purchasing power of the peso had changed significantly from earlier decades. Inflation and the rising cost of goods meant the 1 Piso coin became a key denomination for everyday commerce. In markets, jeepney fares often ranged from Philippine peso 1 to Philippine peso 2, making the 1 Piso the most worked coin in the country. The decision to place Jose Rizal on the obverse wasn't just about patriotism. Since Rizal had been a constant figure on earlier coins and banknotes, his image was associated with national pride and education. By featuring him on a widely used denomination, the BSP ensured that every Filipino saw Rizal daily, reinforcing his ideals across generations. The coconut Cocos Nucifera wasn't chosen randomly. In the 1980s and early 90s, the Philippines was one of the world's top coconut producers, exporting copra, coconut oil, and desiccated coconut. This crop was nicknamed the Tree of Life because every part was useful, from the roots to the fruit husk. It symbolized economic resilience and rural livelihood. Copper nickel-plated steel to reduce costs compared to pure nickel coins. Year 1990 was a politically significant period under President Corazon Aquino. The country was recovering from the turbulence of the 1986 people power revolution and several coup attempts. Natural disasters also marked the year, including the July 16, 1990 Luzon earthquake, one of the most devastating in Philippine history. During such times, stable currency circulation was essential to keeping markets functional. The BSP minted millions of Piso coins in 1990. To meet demand, the mints used both local facilities and, in some cases, contracted foreign mints to supplement supply. Coins were distributed nationwide, through banks and directly to transport and market sectors to keep small-scale commerce flowing smoothly. The copper-nickel plating protected the steel core from corrosion in the tropical climate. On average, a 1 Piso coin lasted 10 to 12 years in circulation before becoming too worn for use. Many 1990 coins remained in circulation well into the 2000s before being replaced. 1995 the BSP launched the new BSP coin series, making the 1 Piso smaller and featuring